From dairymen to city councilmen, the Chism family has made a variety of contributions to the city of Reno for more than 130 years. After 5 generations and counting, they tell their story.
This Chism House was built in the 1880s, and there's been Chisms here ever since.
The Chism Ranch went all the way up to Keystone Avenue. It was a very large ranch, and the streets were named not just Chism, but there were other family names on there. It was like Arletta and Gardner. My brother's middle name is Gardner.
This was an apple orchard. The whole area out here was 115 acres. That's essentially everything from Keystone west and north of the river. And they had cider by the barrel and apples by the bushel. And her oldest son was born in 1878, and that would be John H. Chism, and he started a dairy here. And by 10 years later, they had the largest number of dairy cows in the state of Nevada. Edward started to go in with his brother because of the dairy, and he started a Chism Ice Cream thing that was actually started in about 1905. And they would actually have a water wheel, and the ice cream factory used the water wheel as the mechanical end of churning ice cream. And in those days, there was no such thing as refrigeration, so all the ice cream you made was the old thing of ice and salt, and you mixed it, and then they daily would take it out in horse-drawn carriages around the town and sell their ice creams. And by another 10 years, it was going pretty strong.
My father graduated from the University of Nevada as an electrical engineer and married the president's daughter of the university, and rather than go off and be an engineer, he had this chunk of property that belonged to his mother. They managed to turn half the property into trailer park and the rest of it into this.
It was an auto camp, a stopover on your way to the coast before you enlisted or were sent off to war in 1927.
We used to live in the river when we were kids.
Actually, the river, the bend in the river across from Idlewild Park was actually an Indian camp by the turn of the century, and it still had teepees and things like this. When this house was remodeled in the late 40s, we'd come over here and scrounge around when they were pushing dirt around, and we could fill coffee cans up with arrowheads.
My grandfather himself became a city councilman in the 60s and was actually the mayor in the late 60s, early 70s, and I always thought that was extremely cool.
My father was a very striking, commanding person. Gentle, but he was very good at what he did.
My mother's side of the family was, her father came out in 1917 to be president of the university for 20 years. So we had a lot of family involvement at the University of Nevada, so it was just a given. You know, you weren't going to go away to school. You were going to go to the University of Nevada.
My grandparents were here, my parents were here, I'm here, my kids are here, they're going to go to school here. In a weird way, it's a source of pride. Everybody asks, and I say, I can't leave. I have to stay. It's not up to me. You just sort of woven into the local culture. You know, you're part of it, not just passing through.